All right, so get this. Are you ready for a story that's, well, it's going to make you think twice about booking that trip to Antarctica. We're
Ah.
going deep on a recent event that, yeah, really sent shockwaves through the flat Earth community.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Buckle up. Yeah, we're about to explore what happens when deeply held beliefs, well, they collide with undeniable evidence.
Exactly. We're talking about Jeran Campanella, the YouTuber, behind the channel Jeranism, who, up until very recently, was a staunch advocate for the idea that the Earth is flat. But then he went and did something pretty unexpected.
He put his money where his mouth is, so to
Right.
speak. Campanella shelled out, I think it was like $37,700 to join an expedition to Antarctica, the supposed edge of the flat Earth, as part of a project called the Final Experiment.
$37,700. That's some serious dedication to proving a point.
It really highlights the lengths people will go to when they're convinced they're right. Think about it. This isn't just someone casually browsing conspiracy theories online. This is someone taking concrete action, investing a significant amount of money and time to validate their beliefs.
Okay, so walk me through this final experiment thing. Who's behind it and what was the whole point?
The mastermind behind this whole operation is Will Duffy, a pastor from Colorado. Duffy's goal was simple: put an end to the flat Earth debate once and for all. His plan was to bring together both flat earthers and globe earthers to witness a phenomenon that's only possible on a spherical, rotating Earth, the 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
Ah, so he figured, show don't tell, right? Let them see with their own eyes. But hold on, back up a second. For those of us who haven't brushed up on our astronomy lately, explain this 24-hour sun thing. What makes it so impossible on a flat Earth?
What you see, the Earth's tilt. Imagine it like spinning a tilted top. It means that during the summer solstice in Antarctica, the South Pole is bathed in constant sunlight for a full 24 hours. The sun literally circles the sky, never dipping below the horizon. Now, on a flat Earth, this wouldn't be possible, no matter how you slice it.
So basically, Duffy set up the ultimate litmus test. If the sun does its 24-hour dance, the Earth is round, case closed.
Precisely. And it all hinges on this journey to Antarctica.
So Campanella embarks on this epic adventure, traveling a whopping 9,000 miles, from Salinas, California, all the way to the bottom of the world. Talk about going the extra mile for your convictions.
What's fascinating here is this human drive to seek evidence, to confirm what we believe. We often talk about confirmation bias in psychology, but this is a real-world example playing out on an epic scale. Campanella, like many of us, likely went into this expedition with the expectation that it would reinforce his flat Earth model.
Right, you'd think he'd be looking for ways to dismiss or explain away any evidence that contradicts his beliefs, but then something unexpected happened.
Indeed. Upon reaching Antarctica, Campanella witnessed the very thing he set out to disprove: the 24-hour sun. Picture him standing there, watching the sun trace a complete circle in the sky over a full 24 hours. This visual spectacle, something that simply cannot occur on a flat Earth, became a turning point in his journey.
Wait, hold on. So he's looking at this undeniable proof, and what does he do? Does he try to explain it away to somehow fit it into his flat Earth framework?
Well, not exactly. Get this. In a move that surprised pretty much everyone, Campanella publicly admitted he was wrong. He acknowledged, on camera, that the 24-hour sun does exist and that it challenges the very foundation of the flat Earth model.
Wow. I mean, talk about a plot twist. Here's this guy who built his entire online persona around the flat Earth, and he's admitting he was wrong. That takes guts.
It does, doesn't it? It really speaks to the power of evidence when confronted with it head-on. We often think of beliefs as these unshakable things, but Campanella's story shows that they can evolve when presented with compelling evidence that can no longer be ignored.
But wait a minute. There's a catch, right? You mentioned earlier that he only accepted the round Earth. Quote, mostly.
Ah, yes. That's where things get even more interesting.
All right, I'm all ears. Explain this mostly business. What's he holding on to?
Well, Campanella, while admitting the 24-hour sun phenomenon does exist, stopped short of embracing a perfectly spherical Earth.
So, he saw the proof, but still isn't fully on board. That's mind-boggling. What's going on in his head?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It really highlights the complexities of belief and how challenging it can be to completely shift one's worldview, even when faced with irrefutable evidence. We're going to dive deeper into that aspect of the story in just a bit, but for now, let's circle back to Duffy and his final experiment.
Right. We were talking about Duffy bringing all these folks down to Antarctica. Not just to prove the Earth is round, but to take aim at this whole Antarctic treaty thing that flat earthers love to talk about.
Exactly. See, flat earthers often point to the Antarctic Treaty of 1959 as evidence of a grand conspiracy. They claim it restricts civilian access to Antarctica to hide the truth about the Earth's shape.
Hmm.
But Duffy, by bringing this group to Antarctica, is showing that civilian access isn't impossible, essentially debunking that piece of the flat Earth narrative.
Ah, so he's kind of hitting two birds with one stone, proving the Earth is round, and dismantling one of the core arguments of the flat Earth theory. Clever move.
It is, isn't it? And, this taps into a broader phenomenon we see today with alternative facts. When official explanations are doubted, people tend to fill the void with their own interpretations, often relying on limited or distorted information.
Right, it's like, if they're lying about this, what else are they hiding? It creates this whole culture of suspicion and mistrust.
Exactly. And that's where things can get tricky. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's bring it back to the expedition. How did the other flat earthers who went with Campanella react to the 24-hour sun? Surely he wasn't the only one having a bit of an existential crisis down there. Well, let's just say it was a mixed bag of reactions. Some, like Campanella, acknowledged the existence of the 24-hour sun, but struggled to reconcile it with their pre-existing flat Earth model. They were essentially trying to adjust their belief to accommodate this new, undeniable piece of information.
Sort of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
A very apt analogy. I actually used that same analogy to explain quantum physics to my nephew once.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say it didn't go as smoothly, but that's a story for another time.
Uh-huh. Okay, noted. So we've got some flat earthers trying to make the round peg fit. What about the others? Were there any hardcore holdouts, folks who just flat out refused to accept what they were seeing?
Oh, absolutely. One flat earther, Austin Whitsitt, dismissed the 24-hour sun as a singular data point, claiming it doesn't definitively disprove the flat Earth model.
Hold up. So he's cherry-picking data to fit his beliefs. You see that a lot with conspiracy theories, don't you? It's like,
Right.
okay, maybe this one piece of evidence doesn't fit, but I'm sure there's some other explanation out there that will validate my worldview.
It really highlights how deeply entrenched certain beliefs can be, almost becoming a core part of someone's identity. It makes you wonder, if a trip to Antarctica and witnessing this phenomenal event firsthand wasn't enough to change everyone's mind, what will...
That's the question, isn't it? Will this whole experience have any lasting impact on the flat Earth community? Or will it just be dismissed as a fluke? Another piece of the conspiracy to hide the truth.
That's what we're going to explore next. This journey to Antarctica, while fascinating in its own right, raises some even bigger questions about the nature of belief, the role of evidence, and the challenges of changing minds in a world where information and misinformation are readily available at our fingertips.
All right, things are getting really interesting now. Let's take a closer look at the psychology behind all of this and try to understand what drives people to hold on to beliefs even when confronted with evidence that directly contradicts them. Okay, so I've got this fascinating situation where some folks, went to Antarctica, saw the 24-hour sun with their own eyes, and still haven't completely embraced around Earth. What's the psychology behind that kind of resistance to change?
This really highlights the power of belief systems. Think about it. This isn't just about shapes in the sky. It's about how we build our entire worldview. Our beliefs give us a sense of order, a framework for understanding the world.
Right. It's easier to stick with what you know, even if it's wrong, than to completely upend your understanding of reality.
That's the comfort zone, right? But what makes some facts so comfy we ignore proof? That's where things get interesting. Changing your mind, especially about something as fundamental as the shape of the Earth, isn't just about updating a fact. It can shake your whole identity.
Exactly. And in the case of flat earthers, there's often this strong sense of community, a feeling of being in the know about something the rest of the world is oblivious to.
Precisely. For someone like Jeran Campanella, admitting he was wrong about the flat Earth might mean alienating himself from a community. That once provided him with a sense of belonging and purpose.
It's like leaving a club, except the membership dues are your entire worldview.
And let's not forget the role of the internet in all of this. Online communities can create echo chambers where people are constantly exposed to information that confirms their existing biases. Algorithms are designed to keep you engaged. And what's more engaging than having your beliefs validated?
Oh, absolutely. It's a recipe for confirmation bias on a massive scale. You're constantly being fed information that reinforces your existing beliefs, making it even harder to consider alternative perspectives.
It's like being stuck in a feedback loop. And when you have prominent figures like Campanella spreading these ideas online, it can lend them a certain air of legitimacy, making them more appealing to those seeking alternative explanations for the world around them.
Right. It's like a celebrity endorsement for conspiracy theories.
A fitting analogy. But,
Mm.
in Campanella's case, his willingness to at least partially change his mind is noteworthy. It suggests that perhaps there's hope for bridging the divide between evidence-based thinking and belief-driven narratives.
It's a small step, for sure, but a step in the right direction nonetheless. Maybe this whole Antarctica expedition could act as a catalyst for more critical thinking within the flat Earth community.
It's certainly possible. And it speaks to the importance of engaging with those who hold different beliefs, not to belittle or mock them, but to foster understanding and open dialogue.
Because at the end of the day, we all share this planet, round or otherwise.
Well said. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the broader implications of this event. If even the most ardent believers can be swayed by undeniable evidence, what does this tell us about the nature of truth and the potential for changing minds?
That's a great question. I mean, if a flat earther can be convinced, at least partially, that the Earth is round, what other seemingly unshakable beliefs might be up for grabs?
It challenges the notion that people are incapable of changing their minds, doesn't it?
It does. It gives me hope that maybe, just maybe, there's a glimmer of hope for rational discourse in a world that often feels dominated by ideology and entrenched opinions.
I'd like to believe that's true.
Me too. But let's be realistic. Not everyone is going to have a change of heart after seeing a 24-hour sun.
Of course not. But even if this event only prompts a handful of individuals to re-examine their beliefs, that's still a positive outcome.
It's a start, a seed of doubt planted in the fertile ground of conviction.
Precisely. And as we've discussed, changing one's mind is a process, not an instantaneous event. It often takes time, reflection, and a willingness to grapple with uncomfortable truths.
Which is why this story is so compelling. It reminds us that even in an age of information overload, there's still a place for genuine curiosity, critical thinking, and the courage to admit when we're wrong.
Well said. And as this story continues to unfold, it'll be fascinating to see how it shapes the ongoing conversation about the power of belief and the importance of evidence-based reasoning.
Absolutely. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and sharing any updates with you.
Now, before we wrap up, let's take a moment to consider the role of Will Duffy, the pastor who organized this expedition.
Ah, yes. The mastermind behind the final experiment.
Hmm.
What's his angle here? Is he just trying to convert flat earthers to the round earth side? Or is there something more to his mission?
That's a question worth pondering. On the surface, it seems like he's simply trying to settle a long-standing debate. But his efforts also highlight a deeper desire to promote critical thinking and scientific literacy.
So, he's not just preaching to the choir, he's trying to expand the congregation.
A clever way of putting it. And by bringing together flat earthers and globe earthers on this expedition, he's creating an opportunity for dialogue and potentially even understanding.
It's like a science-themed reality show, but with potentially higher stakes.
Indeed. And it'll be interesting to see if Duffy's approach can serve as a model for addressing other contentious issues where beliefs and evidence clash.
It's a tall order, but someone has to try, right?
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. From the psychology of belief to the power of evidence and the complexities of changing one's mind, this deep dive into the world of flat earthers has been quite the journey.
It certainly has, and it leaves us with a lot to think about, doesn't it?
You know it does. So, to our listeners, what about you? What deeply held beliefs of yours might benefit from a little deep dive of their own? What assumptions are you holding on to that are worth questioning? It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about a guy who traveled thousands of miles to prove the Earth is flat, only to, have his beliefs challenged in a big way. But this whole story, it's really gotten me thinking about so much more than just the shape of our planet.
That's the beauty of a good deep dive, isn't it? It's not just about the specific topic at hand, but the broader questions and insights it sparks along the way. In this case, we're grappling with some fundamental aspects of human nature, how we form beliefs, how we process evidence, and how we navigate a world where truth itself can feel elusive.
It's, look, incrucible. If even something as seemingly settled as the shape of the Earth can be debated, what doesn't have room for questioning makes you wonder. What other truths we cling to, might benefit from a little closer examination.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting, this whole experience. Well, specific to the flat Earth community, has some serious implications for how we approach knowledge and understanding in general. It's a reminder that we should constantly be challenging our assumptions, seeking out diverse perspectives, and being open to the possibility that we might be wrong.
That last part is tough, though.
Right.
Admitting you're wrong, it can be a pretty humbling experience.
It can be. But,
Uh-huh.
it's also incredibly liberating. Think about it. Clinging to outdated or inaccurate beliefs, even when presented with evidence to the contrary, keeps us stuck. It prevents us from growing, from evolving, from embracing new knowledge and understanding.
So you're saying that being wrong isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's actually an opportunity to learn and grow.
Precisely. It's about embracing that discomfort, that intellectual friction, and using it as fuel for personal growth. It's about recognizing that knowledge is a journey, not a destination. There's always more to learn, more to discover, more to question.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being curious, about being willing to dive deeper, to challenge our own assumptions and biases.
Exactly, and that's something we can all do. Regardless of our background or beliefs, it's about fostering a mindset of intellectual humility,
Mm.
recognizing that we don't have a monopoly on truth, and that there's always room for learning and growth.
This has been a real eye-opener, you know? I mean, who knew a story about flat earthers going to Antarctica could spark such a profound conversation about the nature of belief and the pursuit of knowledge?
It's a testament to the interconnectedness of things, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
How even seemingly niche topics can lead us down unexpected paths of discovery.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners out there, we leave you with this. What deeply held beliefs of yours might benefit from a little deep dive? What assumptions are you holding on to that might be worth questioning? Remember, the journey of discovery is often more rewarding than clinging to certainty. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep diving deep.